I'd quickly like to show you how to do the Russian joining method. It's a way of connecting two threads of yarn without using knots or felting them together or anything. So we're going to make two loops and join these together. I'm going to use two different colors of yarn, so a pink and a blue, but of course if you're using this in your crochet work this will be the same color, but then you can just see very well what I'm doing. You can see these two are really joined together very well. I'm using an acrylic yarn. This is a double knit yarn that I'm using, but this works for worsted weight yarns, works for sport weight yarns, works for all kinds of yarns. The concept is what I want to show you here. Although I must say that the thicker the yarn is, the easier it is to do this join. So on very thin, lacy yarns, I find it impossible to do this join. But for double knit yarns and more common yarn thicknesses, this works really, really well to join two yarns together. So to join these two ends together, I'm going to start with the blue. It's totally arbitrary which end you start with, and you need a needle. To hook up my blue yarn, and now leaving a small bit on this side of the needle. You can also go a bit longer, but then that just means you need to work your yarn in longer. Doing about that much, about an inch or so, something like that. Come back, fold back on the yarn, and now you're going to go through the yarn. So that's in and out, in and out. You're going to work your needle through the yarn. That's what you're doing. In and out. Small bits all the time. And you can go back quite some time here. So don't worry if it's too much. Feel free to really go back a bit. Now I've got a number of stitches on the needle here. I'm going to pull my needle through, but what I'm doing, I'm going to just hold this loop tight, because you want to leave this loop here. You want to leave that open. I'm going to pull through, and then I can pull my needle out. Now I'm just going to leave it like this for the moment, with that loop there. Now let's go to the other side. The pink yarn, put that on your needle. If you're using the same yarn, this will of course be the same color on both sides. Now, very important, go through the loop of your first thread, because if you forget this, you're not going to be joining anything. So very important. Now do exactly the same on the pink as we've just done on the blue. So leaving about 1 or 2 centimeters, fall back and work through the thread. So going to the back and to the front, to the back and to the front, working in and out, in and out. And here also, don't worry that you can be too long in this. So really take your time with doing this. Because the better you are in the thread, the better your join will be. The tighter the yarn will connect to itself. I'm reasonably happy with those stitches. Again, going to pull through and hold on to the loop, the pink loop here. I'm just going to pull through, pull my yarn through. There you go. Now you see that little end sticking out there. Okay. Now comes the magic bit. We're going to pull these two loops tight. I'm going to hold on to the blue, but not the tail end there. Kind of going to hold it like that. Well, actually, yeah, it's kind of this entire area here. I'm going to hold on to that, and also that side. Because we're going to pull those loops together. See what happens if I pull these loops together. See how those stitches on the blue are moving inward? You want to do the same on the pink side. Just have them moving inward. Now pulling a little bit more on the blue side. You really want to get that loop closed. That's what you're doing. When you're happy that that loop is tight, you can then let the rest of the stitches just fall back. And also on the other side, fall back. You can really pull this hard. So the first time you pull, I can't show you again because I've already done it. The first time, just very close to the loops, and then you'll see that yarn moving inward and really closing your loop. And that is your join. You can crochet over this as though nothing has happened. It's ever so slightly thicker here because you've got a double thread on this piece compared to the rest of the yarn, but that doesn't matter. When you crochet over this, it's going to feel maybe a bit thicker, but for the rest it's exactly the same as the rest of your yarn. And when you work stitches over this, that's going to secure it even further. So this join really isn't going anywhere. You can use this as though it's one long thread.